Greetings, my Wilberforce family and friends. Welcome to Wilberforce Alums. We've been away for a little bit, about 30 days or so, maybe a little bit more, but in order to get past our first annual virtual conference, which turned out to be a huge success. We're going to be presenting to you Season 2, Episode 5 of Wilberforce Alums Podcast. Hi, I'm James B. Stafford III, your host and the National President of Wilberforce University Alumni Association. But before we get into this next episode, Episode 5, please share this podcast with all your friends and acquaintances and ask them to make certain that they give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our podcast. That certainly helps this channel to develop greater acceptance and visibility across the spectrum. So don't forget, hit subscribe and give us a thumbs up. And make sure you share this podcast with all your friends and family to log in and become subscribers to Wilberforce Alums Podcast. Now, before we get into Season 2, Episode 5, we're going to have a short break. Thank you, and we'll be back in just a moment. Hey alums of Wilberforce University. Remember that this channel's primary purpose is to feature the many outstanding graduates of Wilberforce University. So if you know of any that we should be interviewing, please contact me through the Wilberforce University Alumni Association website. Now, Season 2, Episode 5, we will be profiling and interviewing Sheri Neale from the class of 2006. Stay tuned. Welcome back, Wilberforcians, family and friends. Welcome to Season 2, Episode 5 of Wilberforce Alums Podcast. We've been a little dormant here for the last month or so, but of course, the university, through the Alumni Association, had to get prepared for its annual conference. And now that we have that behind us, we're getting ready to kick back off our podcast to profile those outstanding students that walk through the doors of Wilberforce University. And with us today, we have Sheri Neale, graduate of 2006, honor graduate, by the way, 2006, who we're going to be chatting with today regarding those things that have impacted her at Wilberforce, how it got her on her way to being success and the successful individual that she is today in the Columbus area. So, having said all that, Sheri Neale, go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you.
Okay. Well, first of all, I have to say thank you for inviting me to be a part of this podcast. I've enjoyed listening to several of the episodes. So thank you so much for making space for me to be part of it. I am Sheri Neale. I'm a 2006 graduate from Wilberforce University. I graduated just said that. I am from Baltimore, Maryland, and I will always be from Baltimore. That is home, but I currently reside in Columbus, Ohio, which has everything to do with Wilberforce. And I would like to say everything that I've done post graduation has everything to do with all roads lead back to Wilberforce. So I am there is not enough gratitude, I guess, that I can give to the university for what it has done in the trajectory of my life since I have graduated from school. So I am a system accountant at this point at the Defense Finance and Accounting Service. I am on year 16 there. That came straight from an internship through the co-op department. I did 2 summers as an intern and offered me a job, although I had other offers, but I decided to continue on with DFAS, and I'm still there. And I'll stop there because I don't know what else.
Okay, now, yeah, right. We're gonna come back to that because
Okay.
what I want you to lay on us is being from Baltimore, and you know, your parents still there in Baltimore, and I know you spent a year at Morgan State, another great HBCU, but you end up at Wilberforce. So tell me about that. How did that happen?
Okay, so I graduated high school 17. I went to Morgan State. And I don't know if I actually went there. I was enrolled, but I definitely partied. I thought those were the classes. So and my my initial grade card reflected that. So I was I don't know if I was actually told I couldn't come back. I don't remember that, but from the school, but I definitely remember it from my parents. And I grew up, in Morgan Park. So I grew up right behind the school. It was probably not a good idea for me to go there. I knew way too many. I was too, already too involved in things, I guess that were everything but academics, right? Nothing bad, just teenage and stuff like that. So anyway, I did go to Morgan, and I can tell you all about the parties. I can't tell you much about anything else. But my parents graduated from there. Was another reason why I kind of gravitated to Morgan as well. But Wilberforce came about. I did not come to Wilberforce until about 6 or 7 years after that. And it was all divine. I had been praying for a while, I've been working to go to school. And I just wrote it down and kind of left it on the altar, probably a year or so before it actually happened. But Wilberforce was actually recruiting at Empowerment Temple AME Church, where I was a member one Sunday. And they were recruiting. Long story short, I did not come to they were calling for years, kind of if you graduated in 2002 or 2000, 2001, and they didn't go to my high school year because I graduated in the 90s. And so I didn't think it was for me. But then kind of the next day, the pastor did like he did what I would call like a inspirational message at the end of a morning show, and he announced it. And so I called down there and I was like, well, I was in church on Sunday, actually go to this church, and I didn't know it was for anybody. I want to go to school. And within 24 hours, my parents helped me buy out of my lease, and I was on a bus with like 60 other kids on the way to Wilberforce. I didn't even know how to spell it at that point. And my grandmother was like, I heard of that school. It's good. You should go. You'll be fine. Amen. And Amen. that is what happened. That's how I got to Wilberforce. And it was the biggest leap of faith. I always say that I've ever taken. And I think it's the reason why I'm not afraid to do a lot of the things that I do now. And from that leap, my matriculation through Wilberforce, it has just reinforced who you see now, right? It has just it was only added to I guess that being as boisterous as that was. And so that's how I got to Wilberforce. I don't tell that story much.
The impact of the force on the force.
Yeah, I'm definitely the only one out of those, and I don't know if it's good or bad, it is what it is, but I was one of the only ones to graduate in 4 years out of those 70 kids that came up. But you can edit that if you don't need it.
No, that's good, because what that shows is how Morgan State got you on the right path, even though you partied, but you realize your purpose, and what we have to do as individuals is find our purpose in life, and then we just follow up through that purpose and take it where it should be taking us. Now, once you got to Wilberforce, though, I mean, what did you see? How did you feel when you got there on campus?
Oh my goodness. So first of all, we got there like 3:00 in the morning. So I didn't see anything, just darkness, right? And they loaded us all into the student union. And there were people there. I remember because what happened is we had a U-Haul on the back of one of the buses that actually that somebody was pulling that broke down. And our stuff was in that U-Haul trail that they was pulling. So we didn't have any clothes. We didn't have any toiletries or whatever. So people were there and I guess they went to wherever and got us some stuff to get us through until that thing arrived, the trailer arrived. And so I was out of a fish out of water. I was like, man, this wasn't the best decision. Like what am I doing? But when I got there, we were welcomed, right? It was still welcoming. People were happy to see us. The next day, I think the first couple of days in school, we were, like the kids with the big, stamp on your forehead, because we were brand new. Like they have been there for 2 weeks. We were 2 weeks late. I had to do what I had to do to get caught up. The professors were beautiful. I will never forget Ms. Wingard and how she helped me she was my first English professor that I had there. And I, at that point, I think once I realized, okay, yes, I'm in college and I'm like not in Maryland. I had blinders on probably from that moment, like that I realized it. And it was just beautiful. Like it was community. It was very communal to me. It felt like everybody wanted me to win. And I'm saying personally, but everybody that was there. So I just felt good. Right. And I think the seal for the deal, me actually returning, I just needed to get that first. It wasn't about it really wasn't about the atmosphere. The atmosphere was perfect. I was loving all of that. I needed to know that I could pass. And once I got my first grade card, I was fine. I was like, oh, this will work. We're gonna see this thing through. And then I just got more and more involved in things on campus. But I needed to know, I guess, prove to myself that I was ready for it. So yeah, that's what it was. It was beautiful.
Perfect. Now, so yeah, I mean, graduating with honors, you evidently found yourself when you entered the halls of Wilberforce University. Now tell me, so had you ever been to the Midwest before coming to Wilberforce? No. so you were a little surprised by all the cornfields, whatnot.
I mean, I saw the cornfields, but it wasn't as if I had never seen cornfields before. So I wasn't as freaked out by everybody. It wasn't, I'm like, oh, I've seen that before. I've been on country rides. I wasn't really, and I understand. And I'm from the city, so it's not like, I saw them every day. But that wasn't the thing. I think most people stick to that. It just didn't stick out to me. I knew they were there, but the cornfields were there. I'm just like, really what it was I need a car. Like, you know what I mean? I realized that.
Well, did you get a car?
So I had a car because I was 20. So, I mean, I was like 24. You get it. Okay. So I was still like that first year college student, you know what I mean? It was still supporting me in that way. So I didn't get it right away. I was able to drive it back after the first semester.
Super. So what did you major in? What did you decide to major in when you got there? Or did you know what were you going to track when you got there?
Yeah, when I started at Morgan, I was a chemistry major because I wanted to be a doctor. My aunt, I know, right? My aunt was a doctor, and I really only did that because of money, right? I just figured that was the way. But I realized that that wasn't what I wanted to do. I was an accounting major. And I declared that after taking my the first accounting class. It was I guess it was like one of the classes that was open, really. And I declared it after the first semester because of how much I enjoyed it. Learning, like I think I went so far ahead in like the lessons and reading the textbook, and it was weird. Like, so I know, don't tell anybody. I see your face. Don't tell anybody. But yeah, so I did. That's how I declared it. It was like, I love this, and it's not necessarily. A lot of people think it is numbers. There's numbers involved, but it's logic. Mr. Dr. Seawold taught me that. He became my advisor. God rest him. And I just fell in love with just doing that. And I became a tutor, and it just was like running water to me, right? So that's how I became. So I embraced it, and that's what I've been doing.
Great. Now we're at the end of the road at Wilberforce, okay? And now the thought is, well, what am I going to do when I graduate? I'm graduating with honors. I love this accounting stuff. What's the next step? What happens then?
The next step, well, I actually left with the job, because, through the co-op fair, I ran into Defense Finance and Accounting Service, and Fawn Holloway was at the table at that point. And
shout out to Fawn Holloway, huh?
Yeah, he was there representing DFAS. I had not.
Now, wait a minute, DFAS. Now you may have to break that down for us who don't know what DFAS is.
Yeah, Defense Finance and Accounting Service.
Okay.
So he was there, along with some, because Fawn like a big wig. I'm not that. But he was a big man at DFAS or whatever. He was down there recruiting with some other folks. And at that point, they were doing interviews on campus, right? Okay. And so I was able to interview and everything while I during the career fair. And so I did 2 summers, and then they offered me a job. So I left Wilberforce with that job.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah,
that's what it's about. Now DFAS. Now that's the Department of Defense, right? And that's part of the. Yeah, okay, all right. So you've been in that position with successes for now over 16 years. You say so. Wow, it must be good to you, or you're good to it. One of the two, right?
I mean, I appreciate it for what it has given me, but also what it has allowed me to do. There's a lot of, it's a 9-to-5, but working for the federal government, there's a lot of things, the leave package and all that. It allows me to do a lot, right? And so it has afforded me the opportunity to do what I do for the community really well, right? And so I appreciate it for that. Yeah, I appreciate it for that.
Now you walked through the doors of Wilberforce University with a degree, and now you're working for the Department of Defense, but you still are still trenched in with Wilberforce University. What do you do to support the university as an alum then?
Well, as soon as I left, I think the first thing I kind of did was I showed up at the meeting. I searched out the meeting. I was trying to figure out, when I already knew Fawn, so it was like, I had a relationship with him, and I think I'm sure he was the treasurer. I don't know any other treasurer. I'm sure he was the treasurer of the chapter, the Columbus chapter, and I just started going to the meetings. And then somehow I became president of the chapter, probably about 2 or 3 years in. And I was, maybe more than that, a little more than that, but I was president for at least 10 years for sure. And in that time, I was tapped to serve on the alumni board. So I started on the alumni board as filling in as an assistant secretary, which is how I got on the alumni board. Ms. Barbara King called me and asked me if I would fill a position. And I said, I don't have enough money to do that. I know y'all got money. And she talked to me about how I could, give, how I could do that. I made the sacrifice and did it. And so I was on the alumni board for a number of years. I think just here in the last 2 years, maybe it was my second election not being a part of the alumni board, and but I have plans.
All right. Well, that's where you and I met, is when you were part of the alumni board, and it was a joy working with you for those couple of years, however long those years were, where you were an intricate part of the alumni association. And certainly, whenever you decide to make that run back again, we certainly want you to do that. I know sometimes we have to spread our wings and share our talents with other opportunities. And as a matter of fact, that's what I want you to talk about too, because that seems to be a great thing that you're doing in the Columbus area with the Maroon Group. But before you get into that, let me just stop and say, hey folks, we're visiting here with Sheri Neale, class of 2006, Wilberforce University alum. Now, if you like what you hear up to this point, make sure you hit subscribe, so that will aid our channel quite a bit. So, just do that. Hit subscribe and become a consistent viewer of Wilberforce Alums Podcast. We're on season 2, episode 5. Now, Sheri, tell us about the Maroon Arts Group. Tell us what's going on with that.
Oh man, so Maroon Arts Group is a nonprofit that I had a part in founding in 2014. It is really born out of, and it has connections to Wilberforce, and I'll expand upon that in a little bit. But it was really born out of me just not believing that I was doing enough for the things that were happening to Black people and Black bodies in our country. And I had seen one of my alumni friends from Baltimore now, Joshua Dixon. I was a student on campus. He had done a play we were both from Baltimore. He's a little younger than me. But I went home to see that play, and the play, I get at this point, I have to say the play literally changed my life. And while I was at school, I was instrumental in bringing that play to campus. And it really was the only thing that I knew that, I have lots of art that has affected me in a lot of ways, but it was really the one single piece of art that I know that had a profound effect on me. And I just thought, if people could see this, we would provoke conversation. We do. So that's what Maroon Arts Group was born out of, out of me trying to bring that play to Columbus. And nobody wanting to take it on because it had a name that I think people were afraid of. And the N word was in the name. It was called A Real Nigga Show. And people were just not really, Black arts groups, which you would think should take it on. They just weren't. So Maroon Arts Group was born out of me and some friends that I know fundraising to bring that play here, sold it out, and it was just like a thing that people wanted more of. And so we exist to provide that type of platform for Black artists who have things to say that are not always comfortable for people, that are not always politically, whatever you want to say, just giving Black artists a platform to be exactly who they are. And that has spiraled into an outdoor performance park that we have in the hood, one of the hoods of Columbus, where we have repurposed shipping containers for the purposes of art. We did that in July, we entered into a purchase agreement to purchase the Pythian the York Mason building, which houses the Pythian Theater, which is a very historical building in Columbus. It's really historical as it relates to Black people. And on that circuit that you had back in the 30s, 40s, 50s, like 60s, 70s. So people like Nancy Wilson, Cab Calloway, all those kinds of people have performed at this theater. And it was at risk for to be lost by gentrification that's happening in the neighborhood that where it resides. And so as a community nonprofit, we came together and we're able to secure the building for the community, and we're going to keep it. It has a 444 seat theater in it, and we're going to be but it has 3 other floors that we're going to open wide for cultural and community building for Black people in the city of Columbus. So it is the only it is one of probably less than 10. I found a couple of theaters that are owned by Black institutions or Black owned, but it's less than 10 in the country. And so it's very historical. I haven't found any that have that amount of seats, but we're definitely really proud to kind of continue this legacy and to be able to stand up and retain something that, you know, when revitalization or gentrification hits a neighborhood, especially a really historic neighborhood like Columbus had a Bronzeville, just like you had Bronzeville in Chicago. That's the neighborhood that it's in. And to be able to retain that for the purposes of Black art, for why it was built in the first place, is what we're doing. So I'm just in position in a way, and trying to play my part in the community, and that's what's happening. So that's what we've done. So,
that's wonderful. That's wonderful. You know, we certainly need to do that and support Black arts and to make it, you know, folk aware of what we do as artists, Black artists, you know, and sometimes we get lost in the shuffle when there's no one really pushing us and supporting us or giving us the venue for us to show what we do, you know. Yeah, and that's powerful. That's powerful. Yeah. So you know, gee, I need to come to Columbus to see this.
Come on,
maybe the next time in the Wilberforce area, I'll venture over to Columbus and take a look at this stuff, you know, as to all the things you're doing. I know you've gotten several awards. Why don't you just, you know, your group has gotten several awards. Why don't you talk a little bit about that? You know, because that's, you know, that is an indication that people are recognizing the impact that your group is having on the community.
Yeah. So we received just here recently an award from the Central Ohio chapter of 100 Black Women as the Trailblazer organization. Mm-hmm. The Greater Columbus Arts Council has given us an Arts Innovative Award for the Shipping Container Project. I Am Church has awarded me a Community Champion Award. That was probably just like 2 or 3 weeks ago. You know, I mean, we've been recognized, I want to say,
quite a bit.
Yeah, quite a bit for the things that, you know, that we're doing. It's the city of Columbus has funded a campaign that we're doing called Deliver Black Dreams. Which is something that we're doing that is kind of like, you know, if Black Lives Matter, then you must deliver Black dreams. And so it's taking the Black Lives Matter a step further and saying, so yes, Black Lives Matter, but if they do, you have to do this, you know what I mean? And the things that we're dreaming about, they have to become reality. And so I look at that as an award from the city of Columbus, because they're funding several large scale murals on city property, like, you know, underpasses and things like that, where we're putting this messaging for the community to see all over the city. Yeah, so I like to say like that Maroon Arts Group is a part of what is really, I think, an arts renaissance in Columbus that is happening. And I mean, you know, Black people, we are all creatives. Like we are creatives just by nature and for survival a lot of the time. So all of us have a level of artistry that we tap into at one time or another.
Right, that's right.
And this is that. So yeah.
All right. Well, hey, you know, it's been a joy. I mean, from Baltimore to Columbus, Ohio, man, what a journey. And the thing about it is the journey isn't over yet. You know, the journey is still on the move. You know, that's the wonderful thing about it. And so, you know, I just like to say, you know, God bless you for all the things that you're doing, the impact you're having on your community, as well as the impact you have had on Wilberforce University Alumni Association. And hey, more power to you and Godspeed, you know. Yeah, you're doing it. You're doing it. All right.
I appreciate it. Just pray for me.
Hey, well, pray for us all. You know, we all can share in that timber, you know.
We all sure, like, because as much as what I don't want to end on this note, but as much as, you know, we're doing great, we all know that there's forces that don't want to see, you know, such things happen. And so that's there too. It's not about that. It's not all, you know, it's not all roses. But it is all, but for me, it is all love, and we're moving forward in the spirit of community. And yeah, I just ask that whatever energy, good, bad, or indifferent, that good energy send this way.
Amen. So look, you know, we've been at it for a little while. What I'd like to do at this point, why don't you just kind of leave us some words of wisdom or something for those who may be seeking to further education at Wilberforce. What would be the thing that you would want to leave with us, you know, as something that we could hang our hat on as viewers of Wilberforce Alums Podcast?
Sure. For those who may be, you know, thinking about or have whatever memory you have of Wilberforce, or if you know somebody that's thinking about, when I was at Wilberforce, and I've never let this go, but the motto that they had was the development of the total person. And I think that is what I owe to Wilberforce. I was developed in ways, but I think that things began to, especially I would say the leadership piece and grasping that. But the development of the total person, I just think that is what Wilberforce and really HBCUs do for us. And so if you're thinking about it, I just have so much. I owe so much. Like I said, every story that I have, everything that I take on from the time I graduated college to now, it leads back to something that I learned on the campus of Wilberforce University. So nothing but gratitude, nothing but love, and nothing but spending the rest of you know, what I'm doing, attempting to pay back what has been poured into me. So amen. Well, look, great guys, Wilberforce alums, friends, and family. Look, we've had a great time visiting with Sheri Neale. You know, one of the profound graduates of Wilberforce University. Yes, sir, indeed. And we just want to thank her for taking out some time and sharing with us her story and her journey from Baltimore, Maryland to Columbus, Ohio. Thank you so much. We appreciate you, and God bless you. Thank you.